Show opens with a tag match. It's the Motor City Machine Guns taking on Triple XL. The member of Triple XL who looks like he drinks at the bar a lot confessed to shooting Johnny Bravo last week in that unwatchable Wrestlers Court segment. The Guns get the jump on them, but Alex Shelley is shortly sandwiched between their fat bellies. After sustaining a fair bit of punishment, Shelley hits the Ultimate Dragon DDT. He then tags in Chris Sabin, who hits a plethora of moves on Bar Drinker, and finally takes him off his feet with a DDT. Triple XL take control of Sabin and hit him with a big fat elbow drop. They attempt to sandwich Sabin, but Sabin moves out the way, then he and Shelley are able to hit the big dude with a double suplex. They follow up with the running boot enziguri in the corner and then the neckbreaker splash combo. A good match to open the show. The Motor City Machine Guns look great. We then cut from that to backstage segments. Oh dear, I'm bracing myself. Scott D'Amore suspends Ken Shamrock for 30 days for the assault on Eddie Edwards and threatens to have him ejected by doofus security, but Sami Callihan persuades him to just leave on his own accord. Johnny Bravo then confronts the Bar Drinker and assaults the viewer's eardrums with his shrill, whiny, screaming voice. Tommy Dreamer in a police shirt then tries to wave his badge in a joke that doesn't even die on its ass because it had no life to begin with. Just absolutely dreadful. A Barbie doll is walking out next to team with Killer Kelly in a Knockouts tag tournament match. Jazz trips up and falls forward doing a tackle. The camera crew do a good job of missing it, but they do capture her uninspired and dispassionate comeback. I'm a big fan of Jazz, but she was at the top of her game 15 years ago. Jordynne Grace and Killer Kelly had some good bits together. For the second week in a row, Killer Kelly looks like one of the most motivated people on the show, trying to make the best of this opportunity. Jazz hits a facebuster on the stunning and beautiful Renee Michelle. So Jazz and Jordynne Grace advance in this tag tournament. We get a flashback to 10 years ago at Final Resolution when the Flippy Bucks took on the Motor City Machine Guns. Each thrill-seeking maneuver is met with a raucous response from the crowd. Generation Me's head gets a little close to the rope on his final bump, but fortunately he's unharmed. And the outcome of the match is met with incredible enthusiasm from the audience. Oh boy, better times, eh? We go from that to the present, where Ethan Page is making silly faces in some dingy room that's weirdly lit. Emma and Satchet Dork then talk to this little girl who has a very unconvincing rage attack on Sami Callihan. A match between Cody Deaner and Johnny Swinger barely gets started before it's interrupted by the Frowning Man and Eric Young. It's just like last week but more lethargic and less entertaining. Cody Deaner rants about how this is so personal between him and Eric Young since they started in the business together. It's a good exposition to be fair, let's see if anything comes of it. Deonna Purrazzo is out next for an in-ring segment. Sue Young comes out, then James Mitchell comes out and summons a load of zombies who stumble to the ring in what looks like Night of the Living Dead on drugs. Amongst all the nonsense, Deonna is able to get the better of Sue Young, who's then carried out by this horde of zombified geisha ladies. In another backstage segment, it starts from the point of view of Moose walking up to Chris Bay. It's a horrible technique, it should be dropped at once. And what in the blue hell, and I mean literally, the blue hell is happening with the lighting here? Moose offers to partner up with Chris Bay, but says one way or the other he's going to get the title back. Back at ringside, an arse clown in stupid face paint is now taking on Rohit Raju. It's a decent match, but as you probably gathered, I really don't care for this crazy Steve gimmick. It's odd, and it's weird, and there's just too much of that on this show already. Rohit blocks a crucifix into Sunset Flip and grabs the rope for an assisted pinfall. Rohit's really good, I wish he was promoted and he acted more seriously. There's another backstage segment following up on the whereabouts of the money that the ladies stole off Falabella. Another cringe segment with 3 people who can't do comedy. I think I would be less ashamed if someone walked in on me watching a snuff movie than watching this. Brian Myers rags on the arse clown backstage and gets himself a match with TJP for next week. Which brings us to the main event. Willie Mack starts out dominant, peppering Chris Bay with shots in the corner. Chris Bay gets out the way of a corner charge, then resortes back in the ring, but then doesn't duck the line and back elbow, so Willie Mack throws windmills for him. It's a bad habit in wrestling that can happen. Understandable, but it should be called out nevertheless. Also, on a pre-taped show with no audience, why could this not have been reshot or edited out? Chris Bay takes control with a dropkick to the knee. Chris Bay goes to work on Willie Mack's knee. There's one nice hopeful sequence for Willie Mack where he catches a crossbody, but Chris Bay regains control. Willie Mack fights out of a half Boston Crab. They have a strike exchange. Willie Mack gets a clothesline. Willie Mack makes a bit of a comeback and then gets in his big Willie slam. He then hits a knee drop, which was a terribly stupid thing to have done, considering. After both men get to their feet in a very drawn out fashion, Chris Bay gets a jackknife pin. And then a code red, but he can't put Willie Mack away. Willie Mack gets Chris Bay by the foot. Chris Bay tries to slap his way free, but that just pisses Willie Mack off, who backflips the finesse one to his feet and follows up with a KB Violence forearm followed by a stunner for the victory. A solid main event, had some sloppiness at the start, lulled a bit in the middle, but it concluded strong. Moose runs out and gives Willie Mack a spear. Rich Swann runs out, gives Moose a Trouble in Paradise kick, but then falls victim to Chris Bay's finesse thingy-majigger. And the show ends with Chris Bay convulsing while posing with the championship. A day later on AEW Dynamite, Kenny Omega would win the AEW Championship, and then Don Callis would say that if you want an explanation, to watch Impact on Tuesday on Access TV. Wow, Impact Wrestling have a heck of an opportunity on their hands here. A lot of new people will probably be tuning in. Now couldn't be a better time than to do away with this nonsense that they're doing. I can't imagine anyone getting wind of this story and tuning in for the first time is going to be impressed with badly acted, badly shot segments. So join me next week to see what becomes of this. So make sure you capitalise on this Impact Wrestling. Don't screw it up. Make Impact great again. And if you don't, you can shove it.